We're back on Morning Line. Final segment this morning with Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney, joining us, taking your phone calls and questions. Clint, we've got Tom who waited through the break, and we'll go to Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning, Nick.
Hey.
You got your screws and everything in there? I just want to know if you're a robot or not.
I am not a robot. Clint, we had a show this morning about robot anchors. Not yet. I'm real. You cut me, I bleed, but I may be replaced someday.
Yeah, okay. I just want to talk to that attorney there. I got a question for him.
Sure.
My mother was living in a what's called a CL house. It's a care living facility. She had fell and broke her hip. They had to operate on her. They had taken her to the hospital. They had surgery. They took her from the hospital and sent her to a nursing home. When she caught COVID-19 in the nursing home in quarantine. But the place where she was at, the caregiving house and stuff, they didn't want her back in. They kicked her out because she had fell and broke her hip there and she had to have surgery. And they didn't want to take care of her or do nothing else for her. And I've had to put her in a nursing home now. And I've not been able to see my mom in almost a year now because it's COVID-19. But this issue I'm having with is her being hurt. She's 80 years old. She's a diabetic. And she's having issues with it. And I'm not for sure what kind of treatment she's getting because I can't go in there and see what's going on.
We've talked about that, Clint. That's the problem, you know. It's shut off. Someone like him would be visiting his mom probably every week, and he hasn't seen her for over a year. And you know as well as I do that in some of these facilities, they know who has family and who doesn't. And the ones who have family that are diligent get better care.
Yeah, he's in between a rock and a hard place because he wants to put her somewhere else and he can't. And so he's stuck with the nursing home. There's really only two alternatives that I see. The first alternative is to try to move her somewhere else to another facility that may allow him more visitation, which I think is going to be tough right now. I think wherever she goes, visitation privileges are going to be few and far between, at least in the near future. The second alternative is to take her home. Those are the only alternatives I see. And it's not just for him. It's a lot of people who have loved ones in nursing homes. And they, you know, it's not realistic to say take her home because you probably don't have the resources to do it at home. But if you want to see her or be with her, particularly if you think that she's not going to be around a whole lot longer, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't rather have my loved one die at home under the best care I could give them for a short period of time, if it's possible. Then have her stuck somewhere where I can't see her, because that's a lonely way to die. It's a tough call. I really feel for Tom. It's such a difficult decision to make, and it's every day you got to live with it because you know she's there and you want so badly to see her. But I don't know any other alternative than those two.
No, and I've thought about those, Clint. You know, my parents are in an assisted living facility in Boise, Idaho, where my brother lives and works. And we haven't been able to see them physically. We've talked to them. We've seen them through the window and the like in you know, months. And I'll tell you right now, I don't want them to be any place other than where they are right now. The last thing I would do is take them out, especially because my parents are kind of mobile and have minds of their own. They would walk off to the grocery store. But I mean, they're where they need to be. The facility is good. They deal with COVID when it surfaces, and that's the way it should be. It's not even an issue for me and my brother. We keep tabs on them, but that's, in my opinion, the safest place for my folks right now because they'd be very high risk.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's probably the only real choice. Like I say, take them home because some people are able to afford to have a nurse who can watch them and take care of them. But then if the loved one gets really sick, gets pulmonary issues, they're going to need care that can't be provided at home, that would be required to be handled by a hospital or some other higher care facility. So again, I feel for Tom because there's just not many options there.
Take a quick call from Ricky. Ricky, good morning. Hi, Ricky.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I got two short questions.
Okay.
One is about Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
They said that they would help us, but at the end of it, I'd have to pay for everything. I didn't understand that. And my second question mother-in-law that's in a nursing home, and her daughter, her mom was over her check and everything, but her money's in the bank, tied up in just her mom's name.
Mm-hmm.
How is she going to be able to get her check out when...
That's a tough one. The financial questions, I don't know, unless Cliz had. I can tell you with Habitat for Humanity, at least I worked on one project years ago. What they do is they set you up on it, and they build the house, but it's not like, here, just take a house, you can have it for free. They then set you up oftentimes, and maybe if the policies change, let me know. But the idea is to get you into it and find a way that you can, once you get settled in and hopefully get work and have a good roof over your head, to slowly, with time, pay off that house. It's not like we're just going to give you a house. It's kind of like, we'll build it and put it together, but over time, with a reasonable payment plan, you can make good on it once you get settled. And they're very flexible with those types of guidelines. And maybe there's cases where they actually give a home, but usually, yeah, you're expected to try to make good on it, which is what most people want to do. That's how that works, Clint, right? I don't know. As far as money and access to it, I don't have any thoughts on that. Do you, Clint?
I can't add anything to what you just said.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, who do we have on 3, Mary Elena? Is this Joel? Jules?
Hello?
Hey, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling about Tribeca Medical. My father was in Tribeca Rehabilitation Center.
Yeah.
Because he passed, he had a stroke, so they put him in there. Well, within that time he was in there, he kept on asking us to get him out because it seemed like he kept saying that they weren't treating him right. One time I went up in there, he ain't been changed. He had an accident on himself, and I don't know how long it's been on him. And next thing you know, the COVID thing hit, and Tribeca's a part of, like, the other rehabilitation centers, the ones that had the COVID hit first.
Right.
And all of a sudden he ended up getting COVID and died from it.
So he did pass away?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And so you're thinking that, well, this is another one of these COVID type cases, and I'm so sorry for your loss on that. Clint, again, I think you made it clear because of some of this legislation and the way it stands out, unless there is just blatant, obvious evidence of negligence, I mean, just blatant, right? There's very little chance anyone's going to have success suing because they were exposed to COVID.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it would, as you said, it would have to be blatant. It would have to be reckless. Then you got to prove it by clear and convincing evidence. I mean, Nick, they intentionally decided to run the lawyers off from these cases so that no one would take them. And people like the guy that just called and his father, they're going to fall through the cracks. And it's going to be a pretty good sized number of folks who are never going to get their day in court. I hope this will be a lesson to the public. What happens when you let the legislature take your rights away from you? It's going to sting, and it's going to sting a lot of people hard.
Yep, and you may let it slide in normal times, but the problem with it is highlighted during COVID. And as you said, Clint, I guess we'll see a lot of this, how it plays out when we start emerging from this, and hopefully we do get a vaccine soon. By the way, I know, again, I always like to refer to you and how you handle it. I probably would handle it. When a vaccine is approved by, the experts, the CDC, Dr. Fauci, and some of the doctors at Vanderbilt, will you get one?
Absolutely, but I'll tell you what, Nick, just before I came on the air this morning, I was watching one of the morning shows that did some polling and said one third of the frontline workers would not take it. Now, you let that soak in for a minute. That tells you how much concern there is, not only in the community, but in the medical healthcare community. That's scary.
You mean concerned that they don't trust the vaccine?
Correct.
Yeah. Well,
that's 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
You have to have 70% inoculation for there to be community immunity. So if you've got a third of the frontline workers refusing to take the vaccine, I'm not sure how effective it's going to be.
Yeah. That's a topic for another show, my friend, but that sure is interesting. Listen, hey,
true.
Clint, thank you for coming on, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a great holiday. We'll see you again soon.
Same to you. Early Merry Christmas to you.
You too, my friend. Stick around. We'll have contact information for Clint right after this.